very good Wednesday evening to everyone. It's a beautiful evening here in Nevis, and of course it's the On The Mark program on your radio once again. Today is the 23rd day of April 2025, and we're almost at the end of April. And I keep saying when I come here on this program that, I don't know where the days and the weeks and the months are going, but they are flipping by so quickly. Anyway, it's a beautiful Wednesday evening, and it's the On The Mark program here again on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse. Of course, I'm the Honorable Eric Evelyn, sitting in for the Honorable Mark Brantley, Premier of Nevis, who is unavoidably absent. He's overseas on official duties, and so I am sitting in on his behalf this evening, and it's always a pleasure to be here. Let me say good evening to all of you who are in tune to the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan Radio 860 on your AM dial, www.vaughanradio.com, and of course those of you who are looking at us on Facebook as well. And so we greet all of our folks in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. We greet those in the rest of the Eastern Caribbean, and of course we greet those in the diaspora as well, because we know that this is a program that is very widely listened to, widely looked at, and of course we know we are here every Wednesday from 8 until 10. It's a commercial free talk show program, and so we are here for 2 hours non-stop from 8 until 10 every Wednesday. And of course there is a rebroadcast on a Thursday from 1 until 3 p.m. right back here on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse. So persons who may miss it on a Wednesday night, they listen on a Thursday, and there are persons who listen on a Wednesday and they listen again on a Thursday, just to show you how popular the program is, and people love to be in tune and love to hear what is happening in their home and beloved country of Nevis, beloved island of Nevis. And of course people like to know what is happening. People like to call in and give their views, and of course a little later on we'll be opening up the lines so persons can call in with whatever you have to put on the table. I am here alone tonight, so I'm here by myself, and so I'll be looking for your calls to keep my company. And so a little later on we'll be opening up the lines so you can call in anything that you want to put on the table for tonight. You can do so. Of course we always ask you to, whenever you call, to be respectful. This is a program of class. This is a program of quality, and we always, of course, we are on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse as well, and this is a radio station of class. This is a radio station of quality, and whatever goes out from the airways of the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse must be of a particular standard. And so anyone who calls in, we ask you to be respectful at all times, and of course we have a decent conversation, of course, to uphold the standard of the program On The Mark, and of course to uphold the standard of the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan Radio, where only the best will do. And so once again I greet all of you, St. Kitts, Nevis, and the rest of the region and the diaspora. It's a pleasure to have you in tune to the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse. It's a pleasure to have you in tune to On The Mark, and we hope to have a very lively discussion tonight for those who will call in, and of course whatever information is being shared. So I'm asking you to stick and stay with us for the next 2 hours, and of course your calls will be welcomed a little later on. Of course, at the top of the show we normally do a little housekeeping matters, and of course I wanted this time to just congratulate or say happy birthday to anyone who might be celebrating a birthday today. And I know of one person in particular in my constituency who is celebrating today. Her name is Naomi Walwyn. Naomi, good evening. Sweet, smiling Naomi. I always call her the African Queen. Naomi, good evening. I hope you've had a wonderful day so far on your birthday, and I hope that you're going to enjoy what's left of your special day. Max it out, enjoy. As we always tell people nowadays, you have to enjoy life. When a birthday comes around, you have to enjoy it. We don't know how much more time we have on earth, and so it is incumbent on us when our birthday comes around. And every day, as a matter of fact, every day is meant to be celebrated. Every day is meant for you to live life and live it to the fullest and just be happy. All right, so Naomi, I know you're a very happy person and always smiling, so I wish you a very happy birthday. I hope you've had a wonderful day, and do continue to enjoy what's left of your special day, Naomi. And anyone else who might be celebrating a birthday, we want to say happy birthday to you. If you're celebrating an anniversary, we want to say happy anniversary to you as well. Whatever the celebration might be, we want to greet you at this time and trust that you're having a fantastic time on your special day, and that you'll be around for many, many, many more. And those of you who are not feeling so well, we want to greet you as well. We greet those who might be under the weather at this time. I know that there has been a very terrible flu that has been going around. Thank God it hasn't come by my door. I hope it doesn't come either. But I understand it's a very, very terrible flu. It has, some persons have ended up in the hospital. Some persons have been knocked down with it for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, for 1 week, a couple of days. And so if you're under the weather with that flu, I wish you a speedy recovery. And do whatever you have to do. Drink all of your liquids, drink up your bush tea. Of course, use your local remedies and make sure that you get better and get better soon. Those of you who might be in the hospital, we want to greet you at this time. And I trust that you'll be feeling much better. And of course, we greet those who are taking such wonderful care of you at the hospital as well. Those of you who might be at the homes, at the Flamboyant Nursing Home here in Charlestown and at the St. George and St. John Senior Citizens Home in Gingerland. We greet you as well, and we greet all those who are taking such great care of your caregivers. We greet you, and we trust that you had a good day, and we trust that you're going to have an even better and restful night. So those of you who are a bit under the weather, whatever the circumstances are, we greet you, and we trust that you're going to be feeling much better very, very soon, as early as tonight or even tomorrow. And of course, we also normally at the top of the show as well, we want to greet those who are in the bereaved column. Yes, we still have persons who are in the bereaved column, and of course for the past weeks we've had a number of persons who have been in the bereaved column, and we want to greet those who are in the bereaved column. We want to greet the family of the late Oscar Jeffers, who was from Butlers, and they are at the bottom of New River. I believe his funeral will be tomorrow, and so we greet all of his family. I know he has a lot of family members over in Butlers. To Negrita, his sister, and the rest of the family, and of course to his children, the grandchildren, the nieces and nephews, to my good friend Carl Natty Jeffords there in the United States, and all of his other family members. We greet you at this time, extending our condolences. We also want to reach up to Rollins Village and say condolences to the Freeman family. I especially greet Mr. Elvis Bigger Freeman. We would have lost Bluey last week, and so we want to say condolences. And it's a very big family, so the Freeman family, all of you are in mourning at this time for the loss of Bluey, and so we greet all of you and trust that the Lord will keep you in his care. Of course, I'm sure most of us on the island would know Bluey, someone who has always been around, and of course someone who would have been a part of the masquerade troupe there at Rollins as well. And so we greet the Freeman family on the loss of Bluey. I want to say good night as well and good evening to P.S. Kevin Barrett, who would have lost his dad there, I think it was last week as well. And so we want to greet him and the rest of his family and trust that you're doing much better at this time. I want to say good night as well and condolences to Captain Frankie Tyson of the Apple Side. I understand that you would have lost your dad as well. And so we want to greet you and your entire family. I know losing someone is not an easy road, and especially if it is someone who is very close to you. And of course, parents are persons who are generally very, very close to us, and so we want to greet Captain Frankie and his entire family, his siblings, and all of the rest who are left to mourn. I also want to go down to St. Martin and greet Mr. Philip Blake, who would have lost his grandson tragically. Recently, his grandson was shot and killed. Of course, that family has been reeling very recently. They would have lost their sister. Philip would have lost his sister, Sina, last year, then Dina this year, and then, as a matter of fact, that same grandson was up here for the funeral Fabina earlier this year, and he got shot and killed. And so I want to greet, I know it's very, very difficult for Philip at this time, his only grandchild, and it is the mother's only child as well. And so it is very, 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 very heartbreaking for them at this time. So I want to greet Philip, I want to greet Pearl, Nisbet, my very good friend, Dr. Claude, Marilyn, the rest of the family. I know you're going through a very, very tough time. As I said, you're reeling because it was only recently that, of course, Bina would have been laid to rest. And so it has been a difficult time for that family, and so we greet them at this time and trust that they will be feeling much, much better as the days go by. And of course, we also want to greet the many Catholics who are resident here in St. Kitts and Nevis as well. We know that Pope Francis would have passed away on Easter Monday. Yes, Easter Monday. He would have passed away on Easter Monday, and we know we have quite a few Catholics here on the island as well, in Nevis and in St. Kitts as well, and of course across the Caribbean as well. And so we know the Catholics are in grief at this time for their spiritual father here on earth, Pope Francis, who had a battle with illness and would have lost that battle on Monday. And so coincidentally, he lost that battle right after Easter, right after Resurrection Day on Sunday. And so we greet all of the Catholics who are resident here. We know that it's a difficult time for you. Of course, you know that Pope Francis was known for being such a compassionate and caring individual, and looked out for people, looked out for humanity. And I know it's a rough time for the Catholics. I think the funeral for him will be on Saturday morning, and so I know the Catholics here will be glued to their televisions to look at the funeral mass at the Basilica in Rome. And so Catholics, keep faith. Keep faith on the passing of your spiritual earthly father, Pope Francis. And so we say greetings once again and good evening, and those of you, all of you who are in the bereaved column, those of you who I may not have mentioned, if you're still bereaved, we say good evening to you and trust that you're going to be feeling much better. Of course, we are coming out of a very holy season of Easter. This past weekend was the Easter weekend, and of course most Christians believe that this is the most significant of the seasons for the Christian calendar, the season of Easter. Of course, we know the circumstances why we celebrate Easter, and I trust that I hope that all of you would have gone to church on Easter Sunday. I know some of you would have gone to church on Good Friday as well. Some of you would have gone to church on Monday, Thursday. And so I believe that a lot of persons who don't normally go to church would go to church on Easter, especially on Easter Sunday. And so I believe all of the churches may have been packed. I'm hoping that all of the churches were packed this past Sunday to celebrate the resurrection of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And so we greet all of you who would have celebrated Easter. Of course, we know that a lot of things were happening over the Easter weekend, and persons, of course, were celebrating, apart from celebrating the death and resurrection of our Lord and Savior, they would have had their own little celebration in some way for the past Easter weekend, just reflecting on a couple of those activities that we would have had for the Easter weekend. Of course, you know, we would have had the usual kite flying competition up at the flats, and of course kite flying and kite making competition up at the flats at Coal Hill. Now, lots of people normally attend that event. It's normally very well supported. People from St. Kitts actually normally come over to be a part of that event and to enjoy the kite flying. I believe this was one of the Good Fridays when there was quite a bit of breeze, because normally on a Good Friday there's hardly any breeze and people could hardly get their kites up sometimes on a Good Friday. But I believe that the wind was very kind to persons this year, and of course persons were able to get their kites up for Good Friday. And of course this past weekend as well, I just wanted to congratulate and highlight that Easter camp that was held at New River. It's called the Jerry and Ursula Fifield Memorial Easter Camp, and that camp is held every year annually around the Easter time, on the Easter weekend. I think the camp has been going for quite some time. I'm sure probably well over 15 years, maybe 15 to 20 years. And it is an event that I am associated with. It's an event that I look forward to supporting and assisting every year. I think it is a very worthwhile camp. Of course, we know that when we were growing up, we used to hear a lot about camps, but those are scarce right now. You hardly hear anything about camps nowadays. I mean, churches used to have camps, church organizations used to have camps, schools used to have camps, and you used to have camps almost practically every vacation. But you're not hearing much about camps now. But the Fifield family in Gingerland, they are keeping that tradition alive, and so they organize this memorial camp in memory of their parents, Jerry and Ursula Fifield, and they host it down at the bottom of New River every year. And I really have to give kudos to them, because normally sometimes you try to do something and then it falls by the wayside. That they have been very consistent in having that activity. And one of the reasons why I like that activity so much is that it attracts quite a number of young persons. And we know nowadays the challenges that our young people are facing. And our young people sometimes need direction. And they get a lot of direction at that camp. And every year the camp grows. You have a lot of people from, of course, when it started out, it started just as a family thing, but it has grown tremendously over the years. They're attracting people from St. Kitts now. I know some point in time they would have had persons come up from the Virgin Islands to be a part of that activity. And as I said, one of the reasons why I like it so much is it's such a comprehensive and all-around camp where the young people can get so much. They have a full weekend. It normally starts on the Thursday, goes until the Sunday. The young people are taught many things, including discipline. They get an opportunity to be involved in community projects. And of course, we know that community activism is not at its best at the moment. People are not very community minded anymore, and so when people get an opportunity to go to that camp, they get an opportunity to be involved in some kind of community project, whether it be a cleanup, whether visiting the elderly. They get an opportunity to get active as well. They go on a hike. They normally have a sports, and normally culminate with a sports on a Sunday afternoon. And so it is an event that it's an all-round development for the young people. Sometimes we have to try to get the children and the grandchildren away from the television, away from the computer, away from the tablet, away from the cell phone for a bit. And it's good for their development. Nowadays, people do not have a lot of communication skills. And the reason being is that people don't communicate. People don't communicate. There are times when people go out for dinner. I've heard of instances where husband and wife or spouses go out for dinner and both of them are on their cell phone. Instead of communicating, they're on their cell phone. And so people need to be able to step away from these devices sometimes and get an opportunity to mingle and mix and communicate with each other. And that camp gives those young people an opportunity to do that. And so I want to commend all those parents who thought it best to send their children to the camp. And I'm making a pitch for persons to do that, to encourage persons that it's a nice camp, and the persons who are in charge are responsible people, and so your children are in good care. And so it is something, as I said, I admire, and I'm happy that this tradition is continuing during the camp as well. They get an opportunity to get involved in making the Easter traditions like the conky and so on. They get an opportunity to go to church together, and so it is a really worthwhile effort. And it is, as I said, it is held every Easter weekend. So if you're in the Gingerland area and if you're interested for next year, you can sign up early. I think there's normally a price for when the person who sign up and pays first as well. So that is one of the things we had for the Easter weekend. And of course, I want to commend the family for that, for keeping that tradition alive. Of course, over the Easter weekend as well, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers would have had a cricket festival over there at the VOJN cricket grounds, where they would have had some cricket between teams from St. Kitts and teams from Nevis. I think there was a Guyanese team from St. Kitts versus a Guyanese team from Nevis, a senior team from St. Kitts versus a senior team from Nevis. And of course, everything would have gone well where that is concerned. Of course, for this past Easter as well, for the vacation, we would have had several camps organized by government departments. We would have had camps organized by the NCDF. I understand that went very, very well. We would have had camps organized by the Department of Youth. And so we try to get as much as possible during these vacation times to get our young people involved. I know a lot of the times all the parents are out working, and so they don't want to leave their children at home, and so they are happy for the opportunity to get their children off to some kind of camp, some kind of learning, something where they can learn something, learn a skill. And so I want to commend all those government departments and private organizations that organize things for the Easter vacation, and from all reports, all would have gone very, very well indeed. It's now 22 minutes after 8 o'clock. We will be opening up the lines in a bit, and I just want as well, before I open the lines, just to say congratulations as well to Miss Vinell Powell, who would have hosted a recital there recently at the David Freeman Center of Excellence. That recital would have been hosted on Tuesday, that's last Tuesday, the 15th of April, there at the David Freeman Center of Excellence. Of course, we know Vinell is from a music family, and she has a music background. She's an excellent singer, and she's now teaching. She has a little music school where she's teaching vocals, she's teaching piano, and so on. And so I think this is the second year in a row that she's doing this recital with her students who have come a very long way. And I was fortunate to be at that recital. Of course, that is an event that I support as well, and so I'm happy to support that event as well on an annual basis. And I want to congratulate Vinell, and I want to congratulate all of the students who were part of that recital. I saw some real excellent talent there coming from some really young people, and it's always good when we can support our young people, because when the young people do things bad, when they do bad, there's a lot being said. And so when our young people are involved in these kind of meaningful activities, we also need to big them up, and we need to congratulate them. So I want to congratulate Vinell on the excellent work that she's doing with the children there. And of course, it's not only it's from children from all over the island, not only children from Gingerland, but from children throughout the island. And so we would have seen some piano students, we would have heard some vocal students, and they all did an amazing job. So I want to congratulate those students, congratulate the parents, and I am particularly pleased because the event was hosted at the David Freeman Center of Excellence. And you hear what the name of it is? David Freeman Center of Excellence. And I'm always very excited and happy when functions are hosted there. A lot of the times things are being hosted there and people are not even aware, right? And of course, I am extremely happy because I'm someone who would have rallied hard. I would have begged hard. I would have made a lot of representation in cabinet for that facility to be constructed there in Gingerland. And I'm happy that the facility has been constructed. The facility is being utilized, and I'm always extra happy to see persons there, especially from the performing arts, doing their due, whether they're doing practice sessions, whether they're having a concert, whether they're having a recital. Of course, we know it is used for church events, has been used for graduation before, and so that facility has been utilized, and I'm very delighted that persons see the benefits of having that facility in Gingerland. As we would have indicated when it was constructed, of course it's done to kind of decentralize, rather than having everything at the cultural complex, at the cultural village, have a facility in the countryside as well that you can facilitate activities of this nature. And of course, every time persons come to the facility who visit the facility for the first time, they are full of praise for the David Freeman Center of Excellence. When I was there at the facility on last Tuesday, there are a number of persons who came up to me and said, "This is the first time I'm visiting this facility, and I can't believe how excellent in here looks." And so every time people comes and visit that facility, people are in high praise for the David Freeman Center of Excellence. I think it was an excellent decision for the Nevis Island administration to invest in that facility. I am delighted that the investment was made, and it is smack in the heart of my constituency of St. George, Gingerland. And so we are happy that it was constructed. We are happy that things are happening there, and we want to tell persons, whether you're from Gingerland or any other part of the island, and you want to use the facility, all you need to do is to go to the Culturama Secretariat, book a spot, and of course it's at a nominal fee. A nominal fee, because of course we know that it costs money to build these structures, it costs money to maintain them, and so you would not be able to get it to use for free per se, but it's a very nominal fee. And so I want to encourage persons who want to utilize the facility. Don't be afraid. It's there to be used. It is there to be utilized by the people of Gingerland, by the people of Nevis, and of course if there are persons in St. Kitts who are interested in coming over and utilizing the facility as well, we certainly welcome you too. And so kudos once again to Vinell Powell and her students. And right about now we're going to open the lines for those of you who want to call in. But it doesn't matter what you want to put on the table. You can feel free to call. Our numbers are 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. And so our lines are now open. Feel free to call. Anything you want to put on the table, anything you're having and you want to get the message out. Of course, we know that this is a program that everybody listens to. Everybody listens to On the Mark on a Wednesday night. And so if you want to get any message out there for the public to know about anything at all, this is the forum. This is an excellent forum for you to call and send your message out. So once again, our numbers are 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. Our lines are now open, and so you can feel free to call in at any time, and let's have an engagement. Let's have a conversation. I have some more stuff here that I can bring to the table as well. But of course, as I said, if you want to bring anything to the table, feel free to do so. So once again, our lines are open. You are listening to On the Mark right here on the Eastern Caribbean's Powerhouse on this beautiful Wednesday evening. It's the 23rd day of April in the year 2025, and of course I am sitting in, Eric Evelyn sitting in for our regular host, the Honorable Mark Brandley, who is overseas on government duty tonight. And so while I wait for my first call, while I was in the congratulatory mode, I also want to say congratulations to the Stepping Stone Nursery. They are celebrating their 35th anniversary. I understand they have a full calendar of events that is going to run over several months. And so I want to say congratulations to Miss Leonie Pat Desant, who is the proprietor, the brainchild behind that institution. I understand they're going to be having a big parade this coming Friday, and they're going to be having a gala at the MGR Park, and they're going to be having several events. And so I want to encourage members of the public to support the Stepping Stone Nursery located there at Stony Grove. And once again, saying good evening and congratulations to Leonie Pat Desant, of course, to Alman, who is of course behind the scenes and always supporting, and all who normally support that school. I want to congratulate those who would have passed through the Stepping Stone Nursery and are now doing excellent work in our community, not only here in Nevis, but in St. Kitts, across the region, and probably international as well. And so that daycare, that nursery, would have made a sterling contribution to the development of the island of Nevis. So I trust and hope that they're going to have a very successful few months of activities. I'm asking you once again to support them. They have a big parade coming up on Friday, and then they have this the main event. I think it's a gala at the MGR Park, and so I'm asking you to support them and support our young people, support the Tiny Tots, of course, as they celebrate their 35th anniversary. And of course, we can also speak about, when we were talking about what was happening over the Easter weekend, we can also speak to the Carifta Games that were hosted in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, right? And we know that we had a team from St. Kitts and Nevis that would have journeyed to Trinidad and Tobago, and they would have competed in the Carifta Games. I think we have a team that goes to Carifta every year. And of course, as I was just mentioning, that we need, when our young people shine, we need to congratulate them. And so we want to congratulate all those who would have made the team to go to Carifta in Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, we want to especially congratulate those who shone and shone pretty brightly during the Carifta Games there in the Trinidad and Tobago. And so I want to congratulate the 3 individuals on the team who would have gotten bronze medals. We had Deschanel Thomas, and she got a bronze medal in the under 17 400 meters. We had Josano Henderson, and he would have received a bronze medal in the javelin. And we had Akane Samuel Francis. He also got a bronze medal in the under 20 400 meter hurdles. So once again, our those who received medals, we had Deschanel Thomas. She received a bronze medal in the under 17 400 meters. We had Josano Henderson. He would have medaled, got a bronze medal in the javelin. And we had Akane Samuel Francis. He would have gotten a bronze medal in the under 20 400 meter hurdles. Of course, apart from those medals, we had 2 national junior records. We had Jamad Huggins, a national record in the decathlon. We also had Kane Samuel Francis, who I just said medaled in the under 2400 meter hurdles, and he would have had a national junior record in the under 20 400 meter hurdles. We also had 5 personal bests. We had Josano Henderson in the under 17 javelin. We had Jay Amory in the under 17 shot put. We had Jamad Huggins in the decathlon. We had Akane Samuel Francis in the under 2400 meter hurdles. We had Tejon Webb in the 110 meter hurdles. So apart from the medals, the 3 medals that we had 2 national junior records, and we had 5 personal bests. We also had a new national record by Team SKN. Team SKN set a new national record in the under 20 boys 4x400 meter relay with a time of 3 minutes 16.88 seconds. So once again, the team St. Kitts Nevis set a new national record in the under 20 boys 4x400 meter relay with a time of 3 minutes 16.88 seconds. And it is very important that we congratulate all of these athletes. Of course, we understand that Jamaica would have won hands down the Carifta Games. Of course, we know what Jamaica is made of. They are always excellent at athletics, and so Jamaica would have won the Carifta Games hands down. I think they've been doing it all the time for the past years. Then we had second place was the Bahamas, and third place was Trinidad and Tobago. But talking about our national team and the team that went to, of course, we would have had some swimmers who would have gone to the Carifta Games as well for swimming. But we must particularly pay homage to our athletes in track and field. Because I believe one of the reasons why we have so many athletes who are now qualifying for Carifta is because of the investment that has been made here in St. Kitts and Nevis, in our Mondo track here on the island of Nevis in particular. Of course, there's a similar track in St. Kitts as well. And I believe it is because of the investment that has been made in these facilities why so many of our nationals and residents are now qualifying to go to Carifta. And so it's not easy to qualify to go to Carifta, and once persons would have reached that pinnacle of qualifying to go to Carifta, it means that they would have trained hard, and it also shows that the investment that has been made in the facilities here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, that investment is paying dividends. I know here on the island of Nevis, I can speak about the Mondo track in particular, the Nevis Athletic Stadium, because since that facility was constructed by the Concerned Citizens Movement-led Nevis Island Administration, we have seen some giant strides made by our athletes in terms of their qualification times, in terms of the way they operate on the track, in terms of their skills on the track, and I must say kudos once again. I always do that. Kudos to the Nevis Island Administration for investing in that facility. And that facility is really, really giving us some excellent results. Because, as I said, it is because we have the track, it is because we have the facility why so many young persons are now able to qualify for Carifta. I am still thinking, I am still believing that one of these days we're going to be having maybe another Olympian. We never can tell. Maybe one or two Olympians. And it is because of what the investment has been made in the facility. Of course, we know we get a lot of licks saying that, well, there isn't any buildings to accompany the facility. But the most important thing is, the track. Track. We were so pleased when we were able to host a school from Anguilla recently, and when the Anguillians came here, they were over the moon with the Mondo track because they do not have such a facility in Anguilla. They're still running on dirt and grass in Anguilla. And so we here can be very fortunate. We could say that we're very fortunate in that our students, our athletes here on the island of Nevis are very, very fortunate. And of course, that has been made possible by the foresight of the Nevis Island Administration in constructing that facility there at Long Point, the Mondo track. And so congratulations once again to those athletes who would have gone to Trinidad. It's a good thing. It's a good feel, even if you didn't medal there, even if you didn't make the finals there, it's a good feel that you would have made it to the national team of St. Kitts and Nevis. You would have traveled to represent the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and that would have been made possible because of the investment that has been made here on the island of Nevis. Congratulations, kudos especially to those persons from the team who were from the island of Nevis. Once again, our lines are now open: 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. I know a lot of the times our callers have a bad habit of waiting until the last minute to call and say they can't get in. And so if you want to call, callers, our lines are open. Feel free to call now. Call anytime. You can interrupt me at any time, whether I'm speaking or not. Feel free to interrupt. If you have anything to put on the table, please feel free to do so on this beautiful Wednesday evening, the 23rd of April, 2025. And so once again, we congratulate all those persons who would have journeyed to Trinidad for the Carifta Games. We do have a caller online. Good evening, caller. You're live on the Mark.
Good evening, Eric, and I'm just calling in to say kudos to all the athletes who made it to Carifta.
Yes.
And while we are on athletes on Carifta, I'm pleased to tell you that the A1 5-Star Relay Championship is scheduled for this Sunday 27th,
yes,
at the Nevis Athletic Stadium. And some of these said athletes who would have gone to Carista will be competing for their different parishes.
Sounds good.
Now, what we have in Nevis is 5 different parishes, so we would have each parish competing against the other. And, for example, we've got St. James, and St. James is sponsored by the Finnish Touch, Ex-Petrol, and Islander Water Sports. And St. James, we're naming St. James the Orange Tigers. And then we move over to St. Thomas's.
Yes.
They're sponsored by National Bank, and they're the Green Dragons. And then we move into St. Paul's, and St. Paul's is the Yellow Falcons, and they're sponsored by the Bank of Nevis. Moving up to St. John's, and incidentally, they're the champions from last year, the St. John's Mustangs. And SL Oxford and Caribou has teamed up to sponsor the St. John's Mustangs. And the St. George's Hawks is sponsored by the Nevis Cooperative Credit Union. And so we have athletes from the primary and secondary schools, and we have category for over 18 as well.
Okay.
Let me just take a moment to say that we've got the first category is under 11, and then we go to under 13, under 15, under 17, 18, and over. And by popular demand from last year, we've included something for the middle age as well.
Okay.
So we've got 4x1 scheduled for 30 to 35 and 45 and over in the same race. But the way we're going to do that this year is that the first 2 legs would be a male and a female. And those 2 athletes for each team would have to be between 30 and 35. And then the last 2 legs, which is male and female as well, would be 35 and over. So we're creating something for everybody on the 27th.
Sounds good.
Yep. And so the build-up is there. And I want to say that we have fan shirts as well selling. So the people from the different parishes could stop in by A1 and for $60 get a real parish shirt. The quality is really good. Real sports shirt, and this is something that as a person from St. Thomas's or Gingerland, you could wear it to any sporting event and feel comfortable that you're repping your parish.
Fantastic.
So I'm just appealing to everybody to just come on out and rep your parish, and have some good fun and athletics. I mean, there's nothing more exciting than relays, and this meet is about relays. 4x1s, 4x2s, 4x4s, 4x8. I think there's 1 or 2 mixed relays in there. So it's strictly relays, excitement from start to finish. From what we get started at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
With the opening ceremony, and then we just keep going. So.
And of course, people would want to know what is the cost to get in.
Cost to get in is $20 for adults, high schoolers $15, and the primary schoolers are $10. Well, for tomorrow and Friday, we'll be running a early bird special. So we'll take $5 off of the adults. So adults would be 15, high schoolers would be 10, and the children under 12 would pay 5. And once you get there, there's an additional $5 for parking inside.
Okay.
So we're trying to make it easy in the pockets so that everybody could come and have some good fun.
And tickets are available where, Mackie?
Tickets are available from the various coaches of the different parishes. So from St. James, the head coach over there is Sherman Keynes. You move over to St. Thomas's, the head coach there is Celine. You get into Charlestown, the head coach there is Ralston Feely. You get up to St. John's, and the head coach there is Kel. When you get up to Gingerland, the head coach engineer and is youth in library. And tickets are available from A1 office in town as well.
Okay, Mackie, you hosted this. A1 hosted this parish relay for the first time last year. Give us some of your feedback in terms of how you thought it went. Actually, when you're introducing something for the first time, you may have your little hiccups and problems and so on. How did the event go last year? Were you pleased with the turnout? Were you pleased with the performances that were on the ground? What was the feedback like for last year?
Well, the feedback was excellent, and what keeps me going is the comments and commendations from the fans and from the patrons. They really came out and support the parishes in their numbers, and they were asking me if I would even entertain putting on another one for, in the latter part of the year. Mm-hmm. But the turnout was very good, the support was excellent, and the athletes were, they were unsure, doing what they do best and putting their stuff on the track. When you have an event for the first time, or for any time for that matter, and the vendors compliment you on hosting the event, that the event went really well.
Precisely, because which means they made money.
Exactly.
And I know you normally host. Well, I know you host the relays for the Center EPPS as well. But what inspired you in particular to host this one, the parish relays?
Well, I just wanted a different avenue for competition for the athletes. You find that when they're running for school, they run against the peers, all the time. Mm-hmm. Because, people from St. Thomas's would end up going to Charleston Primary or Charleston Secondary. So when you look at the dynamics now, running for your parish, you're running against people who you probably never been in a team with before. Mm-hmm. So it raises the bar, raises the competition, and it really gives other people an opportunity to step in as well. Mm-hmm. Because remember, there's only 2 high schools in Nevis, and there are 5 parishes. Mm-hmm. So you give other people an opportunity to show their talent, their athletic talent, and to be competitive. And one of the things that we are hoping is that the camaraderie will also be forthcoming as well. Mm-hmm. Because you meet people and you're on team with people now that you were never on teams with before.
Right.
So, is that kind of out of the box thinking that kind of push us forward to put a meet on like this.
Mm-hmm. And Mackie, this meet, sorry to cut you off there. You were saying something else?
No, I'm saying, I did track years ago. My wife did track more recent than I did. Mm-hmm. And our little son is in track too, so we're at the track almost every day. So we look at, opportunities that exist to help the kids generally to bring out the best in them.
And of course, this event is coming practically, we would say, at the end of the athletic season. And so in some way, with this parish relay, you're actually extending the athletic season.
Well, exactly. Because right now, most of the athletes are still at their peak. Mm-hmm. They're just coming off of Carista. And, I was at the track up to this afternoon, and most of the clubs are still training.
Okay.
Yeah, and you remember as well that usually there's an athletic meet in July.
Yes.
So keeping the kids sharp and keeping them focused and so on.
Mm-hmm. Mackie, what do you think that the Mondo track has done for our athletes? I know you love track. I mean, you're always there. I know you're a big supporter of athletics. You're there at the school events. You're there at the inter-primary, inter-high. You're always there at track meets. What do you think? Because you have seen athletes running previously on grass, on dirt, and you have seen them now on the Mondo track. What do you think this facility has done to our athletes?
Well, let me put it in perspective. I never had the opportunity to compete on a track such as the Mondo track.
Right.
But I've run on it. I know what it feels like. But I could tell you, it's like night and day. Mm-hmm. Running on grass and running on the Mondo track is like, chalk and cheese, really. And I could see that it's easy on the athletes, and it's something that they have to get used to, because when they go outside Nevis, say for Carista,
Right.
they are running on a similar type surface.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see the times that some of these athletes are running would not be possible on grass at all.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, it has, I would say it has bring athletics in a different, it's a different era.
Yes.
But you could see the potential and the zest and the zeal in the athletes to put their best out there.
And generally, divisions love athletics, so I believe you're going to get an excellent turnout on Sunday. It's a Sunday afternoon when people, a lot of the times, people don't have anything to do. They're at home relaxing. So I believe people are going to get a good opportunity to see some good athletics. But Mackie, I wanted to touch on your son, because I can't let you come on the radio and don't congratulate your son, my little cousin Tiger, on his extraordinary performance. His excellent performance on the track at Inter-Primary. I mean, Tiger really surprised me. I mean, I saw him running up at the EPPS. I'm an announcer there. And
right,
of course,
right.
When he was running up there, I was saying, he's like running a race by himself. But I didn't expect this kind of performance from him at the Inter-Primary. And I have to heartily congratulate him. He was excellent. He won all of his races. I think he was crowned the Victor Lodorum, I believe, as well.
Right. Well, he got class champion in Victor Lodorum. I mean, he won the 100 meters, 200 meters, his favorite, the 400 meters,
Mm-hmm.
and the 800 meters.
And
I believe if he were allowed to run 1200 meters, he would have won that too. He was in that kind of mood and that kind of physical shape. But I have to tell you, he's a good athlete.
He is.
He swims well as well.
Yeah, I know that. Mm-hmm.
And so I think the swimming has helped him tremendously.
And the light moment, Mackie, people say he got his athletic ability from his mother, not you.
The thing is,
Or maybe it's a combination.
No. The thing is, he got it from somebody.
Okay.
He got it from somebody. But he's exceptional, and I give him all the support I can.
I have to say kudos to him, and
Yes.
I'm sure Mackie as well, running on the Mondo track have helped him as well.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely. I mean, the thing is, if you're in an environment and you have the right tools to operate in the environment, and you put your all there, you will succeed. And he's in the environment where he's got the right tools,
Mm-hmm.
and I expect no less than great things from him.
Well, I expect great things from him as well. I want to congratulate him again. Make sure you pass the message on to him. He's a young man who is full of manners, very mannerly, very pleasant young man. I believe he's going to go places, and once he keeps up that, I believe he's going to go places both in athletics and in swimming. Right, so congratulations to him, congratulations to you and Fiola, and tell him just stay focused and keep his head on.
We'll do it, and thank you for that. I'll pass the congratulatory message on. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, once again, Mackie, just before you go, encourage people to come out and support the event on Sunday. Remind them of the time when it starts, remind them of the admission fee, and just encourage persons to come out.
Eric, I'm inviting one and all to come out and witness an afternoon of strictly relays at the Mondo track, and Sunday the 27th at 1 p.m. we kick off, and we kick off promptly at 1 o'clock.
Yes.
We'll have the opening ceremony. Because I like to present the athletes in the different colors. The sponsors would be there, doing the photo ops and so on. And shortly after that, we'll get right into the races. We've got teams from each parish in each category. Under 11, under 13, under 15, under 17, 18 plus. It would be an afternoon packed with good, exciting athletics. So I'm asking everyone to come on out and support us. It's $20 at the gate when you get there on Sunday. An additional $5 to get in. The high schoolers pay $15, and the children under 12 only $5.
Wonderful. Well, Mackie, I'm going to see you there on Sunday. I'm going to come early because I have to leave early. I have another event to attend, which I committed to attend on Sunday afternoon as well. These days that there's always a lot of things happening on the island of Nevis. And so I've already committed to attending another event on Sunday afternoon, but I'm going to definitely come early, so at least I can get some of the action there at the Mondo track.
has already assured me that they won't disappoint. So, yes, we'll see you on Sunday, and we'll have a good time.
Fantastic. Well, all the very best, and kudos to you and A1 Farms for hosting this event. And I trust all will go well. And I too want to join with you in encouraging people to come out and have a wonderful Sunday afternoon at the Mondo track. Thank you, and you have a good night.
You too.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
take care. All right, that was Mr. Mackie Truss of A1 Farms, and of course he was inviting folks to come out on this Sunday, coming the 27th of April, at the Nevis Athletic Stadium, which we call locally the Mondo Track. They're having the A1 Farms Parish Relays. Of course, it's a second edition. It was hosted last year for the first time, and so they're having that event again at the Nevis Athletic Stadium this coming Sunday from 1 o'clock. It goes from 1 until 8 o'clock, and of course it's a very small fee to get you in, so go out and support our athletes from the 5 parishes. It's a parish relay, and we know relays are always very exciting, and we know persons in Nevis love athletics, they love relays, and so we're asking you to go out and support. And of course, as I said, there's always a lot of things happening on the island. Every weekend practically there's so many things to attend. This weekend as well, that same Sunday there, the Shirley Squire is having a recital at St. Thomas's Church, and this coming Saturday in St. Kitts at the Marriott Ballroom, they are having a very classy event there. They call it an musical evening of musical excellence that is being hosted by the Governor General Dame Marcella Liebird. And you may ask me, well, why am I talking about that? Well, I am talking about that because the Honeybee String Band will be playing there as well on Saturday evening. It's going to be, the pre-show is from 6 o'clock and the event starts at 7 o'clock at the Marriott Ballroom. And so if you are in St. Kitts, go on over to the Marriott and support it. I understand it was held last year for the first time. Understand it was exceptional, and I understand that they're promising an even better show for 2025. So lots of things happening on the weekend. We do have another call online. Good evening, caller. You're live on the mark. Good evening, caller. Okay, we lost that caller. Caller, please call back. And of course, once again, I remind you that our lines are open 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. Our lines remain open. Anything you want to call and put on the table, you can feel free to do so. I want as well, as we're talking about the weekend, we just heard about what's going to be happening on Saturday afternoon. I'm sorry, that's Sunday afternoon. On Saturday morning, we do have a call online. Good evening, caller. You're live on the mark.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First of all, I would like to congratulate the Carifta team.
Yes.
The whole team.
Yes.
And tell them to keep training.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to salute our preferred Carifta medal.
Yeah.
Which came over 40 years ago. The first person to bring a Carifta medal back to St. Kitts was one called David Franks.
Okay.
100 meters of bronze.
Mm-hmm.
And the second person to bring back a medal to the Federation was called Bruce Nolan,
Mm-hmm.
a 400 bronze medal. I think that there's time in the Federation now that we call for a second tier honorable role just below the national hero role. You could say national icon.
Mm-hmm.
And so we could list a lot of people who contribute to this country development as national icons. If they can't be national heroes, we could call them national icons.
Mm-hmm.
And put up a plaque or something in a place for them where they could be, the names could be eternally remembered for the contribution that they've made to the development of the Federation and the people. And not just in athletics, in every field of development we could see national icons, and in any village, and it could be three tier: village icon, national icon, and regional icon, because that person in our federation contribute on the three levels. And so therefore I'm calling for us to not be ungrateful to these people as we have been so far over the years, but we visit the contribution of our athletes and other persons who are in the development of this country and give him the good joke. Low Street. Low Street should be named after Winston Skeet, not Low Street, but Winston Skeet Street.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Monday track, I want to make field name, want to some of the other athletes, we could put the name to the even not the track, to the gate. Something. Let's give these people the honor, the due. Give thanks.
Thank you very much, caller, and you always call with some very good suggestions. I want to thank you very much, and of course I want to join with you once again in congratulating our Carifta athletes. Thank you very much for calling, and you have a good night. All right. Well, our lines remain open, and while I wait for the next call, it's now 9 o'clock at the top. It's the top of the hour, so we have another hour to go. And as I indicated earlier, sometimes persons have a way of waiting until the last minute to call in. So you have an opportunity to now, if you want to call with anything to put on the table, please feel free to do so. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. And while I wait for the phones to light up again, I want to bring something to the table, and this is something that I'm bringing it early because I know when the premier comes back he's going to be talking about it as well. And so we want to give persons early notice that for Mother's Day this year, which is on the 11th of June, the Concerned Citizens Movement is planning something big for mothers. And it's, even though it's Mother's Day, we are planning something for the entire family. I remember one time we had a nice function up at Caribbean Cove, and some of the fathers said, well, we weren't invited, couldn't we come as well? And so this time around we are having an event. It's on Mother's Day. It's for mothers in particular, but it's going to be for the entire family. So we are planning a family fun day, and that is planned for Mother's Day, Sunday the 11th of May 2025, and that will be held on the grounds of the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. So I want mothers and their spouses and their children to make sure you mark that date on your calendar. Mother's Day, the 11th of May, we are planning something grand for you, and we want you to come out and be a part. We want you to come out and support. So if I can tell you some of what we have planned for that event on Mother's Day, the 11th of May, it's going to start from 12 noon and it's going to go until 7 o'clock, right? So it's from 12 noon almost the entire day, half of the day actually, from 12 noon until 7. So you have 7 hours to come and be with us. The Concerned Citizens Movement is planning something special for you. And at the Malcolm Gishard Park on that day, we'll have mini massages and facials. We know ladies love those kind of stuff. They love the massage and the facials. We'll have sip and paint. We'll have mom and me photo booth. Of course we know that everybody loves to take photos nowadays, especially when they're nicely dressed up. We'll have mom makeover competition. We'll have mommy bingo and scavenger hunt. We'll have gifts. We'll have entertainment. Of course we're going to have lots of food, lots of drinks, and of course, as I said, it's a fun day. And so we are not catering just for the moms. The moms, you will be the focus. The main focus will be on you, but we'll also have to, some of you who are single mothers, you'll want to bring along your children as well. So feel free to do so. And so for the children, we'll have fun games. We'll have water slide. We'll have slip and slide. We'll have obstacle course. We'll have bounce castle. We'll have bowling. We'll have dart games. We'll have animal rides. So once again, I am making this appeal to all mothers and their family to mark your calendars for Mother's Day 2025. It's going to be a special Mother's Day for you, and it's going to be made extra special by members of the Concerned Citizens Movement. Once again, it's happening on Sunday the 11th of May 2025 at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. It's from 12 noon until 7 p.m. And once again, mothers, you can bear this in mind. There will be mini massages and facials. There will be sip and paint. There will be Mom and Me photo booth. There will be Mom makeover contests. There will be Mommy bingo and scavenger hunt. We'll have gifts. We'll have entertainment. We have lots to eat, lots to drink. For the children, we always have to bear you in mind. And so for the children, we'll have the water slide, we'll have the slip and slide, we'll have the obstacle course, we'll have the bounce castle, we have the bowling, we'll have the dart games, we'll have the animal rides. And so asking you to make sure that you are at Malcolm Gishard Park. When you come from church on Sunday the 11th of May, I know mothers, the church is a big thing for them on Mother's Day. And so when you come from church on Mother's Day, if you want to go home and change, it's up to you. But if you want to leave church and come straight to the MJR Park, it's up to you as well. But we're going to have lots to eat and lots to drink. So please make sure you bear that in mind. So don't plan anything else on the afternoon of Sunday, May the 11th. It's a family fun day for mothers. Bring along your fathers, bring along the fathers, bring along the spouses, bring along the children. It's for the entire family, and it will be hosted by your Concerned Citizens movement. All right. Once again, our lines are open, 869-469-1616-1700. And of course, I had to get in that plug for our big Mother's Day event coming up on the 11th. This coming Saturday, I'm making a plug as well, as we continue to keep Nevis clean. We always ask persons to keep Nevis clean. And this coming Saturday, there is a plastic cleanup, and it's taking place at the Butler's Bay, starting from 6:30 a.m. And so we're asking persons to go ahead on over to the Butler's Bay this coming Saturday, the 26th of April. And it's organized by the Solid Waste Management Authority and Recycling Committee as well. And so they're organizing that. Of course, we know we're trying as much as possible to keep bottles and plastic from entering our ocean. There was a similar cleanup at the Indian Castle Bay. I think it was like 2 Saturdays ago. I would have gone there, I would have taken part, and it's surprising how much bottles and how much garbage and how much plastic you can collect on the beach when you go for these cleanups. And so I'm asking persons to go out to the Butler's Bay this coming Saturday. It's happening there, and we're asking you to go out and support. Go out. They'll be providing garbage bags, they'll be providing gloves, and so all you need to go is to take along yourself. Take along a friend, take along your family members, and assist the Nevis Solid Waste Management Authority as we continue to try to keep Nevis clean. And of course, as I'm talking about keeping Nevis clean, I'm asking them, I'm making an appeal again that people please do not litter. Sometimes I know the Premier has said it here many times, and I am saying it as well, that sometimes when I go walking, I try to go walking at morning. Sometimes when I go walking at morning, you see so much plastic bottles on the side of the road, and it's just not good. We have another call online. Good evening, caller. You're live and on the mark.
I just me calling just to be money done. I forgot to really touch on the passing of Pope Francis.
Yes.
Well, I send up my condolences to all the Catholics. I'm not a favorite of the Vatican.
Mm-hmm.
But what I recognize about Pope Francis, when he went to Indonesia,
mm-hmm.
where he will reach out to people of other faith.
Yes.
Here in this country of us think it's a need the bigotry is the rule of the day.
Mm-hmm.
The people feel like only the faith alone have value.
Right.
But it's the head of the Christian Roman Church going to a Muslim nation,
mm-hmm.
and recognizing the Muslim deity and the divine of the Muslim.
Yes.
And so when we hear sometimes anything, when I listen to one and hear the one-sided religious thing they push every time without recognizing any other faith at all, as the Pope Francis is a shining light to all who want to see. Because if he proves, as we know, His Majesty taught us, that every other faith has value. Not just the faith of Rome, but faith of Rastafari, faith of Muslim, the Buddhist, they have value. And we must recognize that. rather than being bigotry. Bigotry, the end of the day, are from the slave plantation.
Mm-hmm.
But here we have a man with understanding who reached out to a Muslim country, visited, and never condemned the Muslim thing. Never. And I want to, highlight his condemning of the Gaza. I think he has done more condemning of Israel than all the Caribbean countries put together in so far. And that is a remarkable thing, because he didn't sit back and silence like how these Caribbean people be the silence in all the attack on the hospital and on the ambulance and all of it. He never did. He was always, and that's what I will recognize him for. His humanity. Give thanks.
Definitely is humanity indeed. And Pope Francis, as you rightly indicated, he was full of humanity, full of compassion, full of caring for people. And as I said, I know it's a sad day for the Catholics, and I just wanted to read something that someone wrote on Pope Francis. It's almost as if he waited. Pope Francis passed away on Easter Monday. The timing felt too tender to be coincidence, like he held on just long enough to hear the hallelujah one last time, to witness the church rejoice in the resurrection before quietly letting go, as if he needed to see the stone rolled away before stepping into the promise he had spent his life proclaiming. He carried so much: the wounds of a divided church, the ache of the poor and the forgotten, the weight of hope for a world more merciful, more human, more like Christ. He walked with a limp, both in body and in spirit, but never without grace. He wasn't perfect, because nobody's perfect, but he was present, and he kept showing up. And he was different. He chose the simple path when grandeur was expected. He rode the bus, paid his own hotel bill, lived in a guest house instead of the papal palace. His first act as Pope was to bow and ask for our prayers. From the beginning, he showed us that true authority kneels. That greatness can look like humanity. He disrupted systems and comforted outcasts. He spoke boldly on justice, embraced the disabled, welcomed migrants, washed the feet of prisoners. He didn't just talk about mercy, he embodied it. He made the church feel like a place where the last could be first and the forgotten finally seen. He taught us that holiness isn't perfection, it's presence. That the gospel is clearest when it sounds like compassion. That faith, at its best, looks like love with skin on. And now, just after Easter, he's gone. But maybe that was his final homily, not delivered from a pulpit, but through the quiet timing of his death. A soft amen to a life spent preaching hope. It brings to mind these words: I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith. 2 Timothy 4:7. And he did. He fought not with anger, but with mercy. He ran not to be praised, but to make space for others. And he kept the faith, not flawlessly, but fiercely. So yes, we grieve, but we also remember. We remember how he made us believe again in a church that walks with the wounded, in a gospel wide enough for the doubting, in a God whose love meets us right where we are. He reminded me that faith isn't something we hold on to ourselves. It's something we hand off with open hands and open hearts. Pope Francis has finished his race, and what he leaves behind isn't just a memory. It's the echo of a life poured out, the kind of life that makes you want to live differently, more gently, more boldly, more like him, more like Christ. He waited for Easter because he believed in the promise. And now that promise is his. Light has found him, and love has brought him home. And of course, that was written by someone reflecting on Pope Francis. And as the gentleman just called in, I just felt compelled to read that piece on Pope Francis. As I said, someone who we are grieving the death of, and someone who would have had a lot of compassion for people in general. We have another call online. Good evening, caller. You're live and on the mark.
Good night, Honorable.
How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Hanging in there.
Good.
Yeah, I called to read my script.
Sure, absolutely.
Let me just turn up the volume on my phone, please. Yeah. Okay. You had a wonderful Easter?
I did, and I hope you did as well.
Yeah, I did. A quiet
Good.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'm reading Psalm 93.
Okay.
From Psalm 93. And I'm going to read 4 verses. Oh, I could read the 5 and done, yeah. Okay. The Lord reigneth. He is clothed with majesty. The Lord is clothed with strength, wherewith he has girded himself. The world also is established, that it cannot be moved. Thy throne is established of old. Thou art from everlasting. The floods have lifted up, O Lord. The floods have lifted up their voice. The floods lift up their waves. The Lord is on high, is mighty than the noise of many waters, yea, than the mighty waters of the sea. The testimonies are very sure. Holiness becometh thine house, O Lord, forever. Amen. Here endeth the reading of the scripture. May the Lord add his riches blessing unto it. And you have a good night there.
Thank you so very much, and you have a good night as well. And all thanks as usual for calling in with the scripture. Always very, very uplifting. And in these days of these trying times, we do need the scriptures and we do need the prayers. So thank you so much. Of course, of course, of course.
Okay then, good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
And I just wanted to read this other piece here from Pope Francis as well. It's a piece on the family, and these are things that we can glean so much from, and we can learn so much from. It says, family, a place of forgiveness. And this one was written by the Pope himself. There is no such thing as a perfect family. We don't have perfect parents. We aren't perfect. We don't marry a perfect person. And we don't have perfect children. We complain about each other. We disappoint each other. Therefore, there is no healthy marriage or healthy family without the exercise of forgiveness. That is very important. Forgiveness is vital to our emotional health and spiritual survival. Without forgiveness, the family becomes an arena of conflict and a bastion of pain. Without forgiveness, the family becomes sick. Forgiveness is the asepsis of the soul, the purification of the mind, and the sackcloth of the heart. Those who do not forgive have neither peace of mind nor communion with God. Pain is a poison that intoxicates and kills. Holding pain in the heart is self-destructive. It is autophagy. Those who do not forgive become physically, emotionally, and spiritually ill. Let me say that again. Those who do not forgive become physically, emotionally, and spiritually ill. And this is why the family must be a place of life and not of death, the territory of treatment and not of illness, the setting for forgiveness and the absence of guilt. Forgiveness brings joy where pain has produced sadness, where pain caused illness. And that's from the Pope. And of course, the Pope would like this message to go out to families. Of course, we know that families and everybody have their problems, and so the Pope wanted to leave that message for families. And once again, condolences to all of the Catholics. It's now 20 minutes after 9 o'clock. We have another 40 minutes to go. And once again, our lines remain open, 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. And of course, once again, I'm sitting in. If you're just tuning in, I am sitting in for the Honorable Mark Brantley, who is overseas on official duty at this point in time, and so I'm hosting for him this evening. And of course, we know that we're here every Wednesday night from 8 until 10, and then there's a rebroadcast of the said program on a Thursday from 1 p.m. until 3 p.m. And so if you miss it tonight, you can tune in tomorrow. If you listen tonight, we ask you to listen again tomorrow. Of course, we are having some good discussion. We thank all those who have called so far. And of course, once again, our lines remain open. And as I wait for the other callers to call, I just want to remind members of the general public that I did say earlier that, the days and the weeks and the months are flying by very, very quickly. They're going by very fast. And I want to remind members of the public, and I want to remind people in the diaspora, that Culturama is around the corner. Believe it or not, Culturama is around the corner. It seems like only yesterday when we were talking about C50. Well, now it's not C50, it's C51. And so C51 is right around the corner. And so we want to remind persons that the date for C51 is July the 24th until August the 5th. And so we are asking persons to bear that in mind. And we want to remind persons that some registration is still open for persons to register for some of the activities for C51. And so registration is open, continues to remain open for various events for C51, and they are as follows: the art, craft and food fair. Registration ends on Monday, June the 16th, and space is limited. In the meantime, Melissa, you can cue up that jingle for us as well. I want to remind persons about that jingle as well. So the art, craft and food fair registration ends on Monday, June the 16th. Space is limited, and we're asking you to please to register early. We keep telling people to register early, and people have this bad habit of waiting until the last minute to register when no space is available, and then they come and say, I want a spot to come and sell at the food fair. We know the food fair is one of the biggest events for Culturama, and so we are asking you to please register, and register early for the food fair. And so registration ends for the food fair on June the 16th. We still have registration open for the Soca Monarch contest. Registration will end on Wednesday, April the 30th. That's only next week. And so those soca artists out there, those of you who haven't registered yet, we're asking you to try and reach out to the Culturama Secretariat and make sure you get your registration in by next week, Wednesday, April the 30th. For the Senior Calypso competition, registration ends as well next week. That's Wednesday the 30th of April. So senior Calypsonians, I assume that you're getting your songs together, you're getting your lyrics together and so on. And so registration for you ends on Wednesday the 30th of April, that next week Wednesday. For the junior Calypso competition, registration ends on Friday, June the 13th. So the junior Calypsonians, you have a little bit more time than the senior Calypsonians. Your registration ends on June the 13th. And of course, we know every year we've been having more and more persons registering for the Junior Calypso competition, which of course we know that the Senior Calypso is in good hands in Nevis, while we have so many persons registering for the Junior Calypso competition. For the Senior Parade, registration ends for that on Friday, June the 13th. So registration for the Senior Parade ends on Friday, June the 13th. And so those of you who are getting your costumes together, getting your troops together, registration for the Senior Parade ends on Friday the 13th of June. And we want to remind you that application forms can be collected from and returned to the Culturama Secretariat, located in the Philip St. Jean building, adjacent to the Maud Cross Preparatory School in Ramsbury, or you can visit www.culturamanevis.com, or you can contact 869-469-1992. And so once again, we will remind you that registration for those activities remain open, and so you can either go in and register, or you can download the forms via the website. And please feel free to make your registration. Do not be late. We want you to be a part of the festival this year. And at this time, we'll give a listen to our Culturama jingle. Seems as though that we cannot find a jingle at this point in time. But anyway, I did indicate that I said if you're interested in taking part in any of the activities for Culturama, please feel free to visit the Culturama Secretariat at the Philip St. Jean building, or you can visit www.culturamanevis.com, or you can contact 869-469-1992. Our lines remain open, and so you can feel free to call our lines at any time, 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700, and feel free to call us and put anything you would want to put on the table. Of course, we have discussed quite a number of activities this evening. We discussed some of the stuff that would have been happening for the Easter weekend. We have discussed some of the things that are happening for this coming weekend. And so we do have a caller online. We lost that caller. Caller, could you kindly call back, please? As I said, we've been discussing quite a few things this evening. We've discussed some things that were happening this past Easter weekend. We have discussed some of the things that are happening this coming weekend. Of course, we would have had a call from Mr. Mackey Trust talking about that parish relay festival that's happening this coming Sunday at the Mondo Track, or the Nevis Athletic Stadium. And of course, we know that people in Nevis love athletics, and we're going to be looking forward to people coming out in their numbers to support good athletics this coming Sunday. And of course, as we wait for the calls to come in, I just wanted once again to, as well, we do have a call online now. Good evening, caller. You're live and on the mark. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes.
Evelyn?
Yes.
Evelyn?
Yes.
Listen, I have a little problem.
Mm-hmm.
I have a piece of property in Downhill, and I need to put a laundry.
You need
I
to do
don't
what?
have no money. You don't have no money?
I didn't hear what you say. You need to do what on the land?
A laundry, but I don't have no money. You have money? You could lend me some money, and you could hold the land until I give you back the money.
Well, I believe the Premier would have spoken about some loans that might be available for young people nowadays. You know, the Nevis Island Administration has a facility at Sidu where you can actually get a loan up to a maximum of $100,000, and you can access that loan at a very nominal interest rate, and so it's for young people as well as women. And so if you're interested in doing that business, I am encouraging you to go into the folks at SIDU, the Small Enterprise Development Unit. They are located there in the old Credit Union building on Chapel Street in Charlestown. You can go in and speak to the folks. They will actually help you do up your business plan and so on as well. And so you can feel free to go and have a chat with them. Okay?
So when you saying if I over 50, I can apply?
If you over what?
50.
If you're over 50, you would not be able to get an application into that because it's for males who are 35 and under and females who are of any age. So if you have a female partner, you can get your female partner to apply, to make the application for you. But if you're over 50, you would not be, as a male, you would not be able to access that facility, unfortunately. So it's for males 35 and under and females of any age.
But that's only discrimination though, because if I want to open a business and I have the property, the young person don't have a property, I can't get an opportunity, that's what you're saying?
Well, as I said, because of the fact that what we realize in Nevis is that a lot of young persons were not be able to access loans. A lot of women were not able to access loans at the commercial banks. But what you can do, if you have the land, I'm sure you can use the land as collateral, and you can actually approach any of the commercial banks, and I'm sure the commercial banks will be able to utilize your land as collateral, and they'll be able to help you in terms of getting you a loan.
Whatever benefit the government have, it should be equally distributed, because it's about economics, and this is what you need. This thing of preventing economics because of some excuse, it's unheard of. Because you find both parties doing it. You can hear NRP complaining that CCM stop their project and CCM complaining that NRP stop their project. We got to let economics flow. It's about economics, not about this age group and that age group. What is it about? You gotta grow the economy from inside out, not outside in. That's when you run into this problem with this civil passport thing. And let me ask you a question. Do you know the people get paid from the last Culturama?
If what?
The folks get paid from the last Culturama.
Well, some persons have already received all of their payment. Some haven't received all yet, but some persons have already received all of their payment, sir.
That's not really the question, but I understand. Some persons. But Culturama is around the corner. What's the problem, though?
It's right around the corner, and I hope you're going to be taking part in Culturama.
Yeah, but I can't be taking part into the suffering.
Suffering in what way?
Because they ain't getting money yet.
No, but you did you have any bills in for Culturama and you didn't get your money? So that means you can't take part?
One man get the next man. The man is the next man.
All right.
You don't have to be, but you could be other people. What difference it is?
I'm encouraging you to take part in Culturama 51, okay?
I agree, but I want this thing to be fair. Remember Angola, when the Queen had the carnival down there to join them 68? And they burned down the stage, burned down everything because they were dissatisfied?
I hope you're not encouraging anybody to burn down anything.
No, it's history. It's right there.
Okay.
That's what they did because they were disgruntled. They were dissatisfied with the treatment from Civics. And by the time the military came in 69, by the time they left, they had water, running water, school and everything. Something you have to fight to make a change.
Well, we don't want any fight in Nevis. Nevis is a very peaceful place.
But you say you got the money, you can't lend the money? You got the money?
Why we had the money? We had the kind of money to lend, to be honest with you. Okay?
Yeah.
But as I said, right? If you once you have the land, you will be able to use the land for collateral. So just go by one of the commercial banks. They're going to help you out. They're going to hold the land paper.
And you also want to get the money shortage. You all make over 600 million of a TDI passport in 2013. You all make over 600 million of a TDI passport in 2013 and 14. And nobody give account for it. You didn't even know the people complain about the appreciate. And you are in power in 2013. Do you know how much money they make in 2013 to get a passport?
Well, you're enlightening me now, so.
No. You're not enlightening me, you're not qualified. You should in police, you're supposed to be, look, if you want to be a dentist, you study dentist of the poultry, and not to do the injection and stuff. If you're in politics, you got to be up to hip on the information.
Understood, sir.
All right.
Thank you. You have a good night. And as I said, take part in Culturama.
Have a good night.
You have a good night, sir. Okay?
Don't feel that way.
Not at all. All right. Thanks for your contribution.
When you get some money, call me.
All right. Of course. All right, sir. Of course, that as that gentleman spoke, let me just let me highlight that. As I said, I know the Premier has highlighted it several times that sometimes when people want to open their own businesses, of course we know that small businesses have been thriving here on the island of Nevis. Some small businesses have been doing very, very, very well. And of course, if you're out there and you want to open a small business, you don't have the funds. We have the facility where you can get a loan up to $100,000 from CEDU, and you can get the loan, and the loan facility is available for women of any age and men 35 years and under. And as I said, you can get up to $100,000. I know a lot of persons have taken advantage of that facility, and the reason why they have taken advantage of that facility is because of the fact that the interest rate is much lower than what you will get if you go to the commercial bank to get a loan from the commercial bank. And so we are encouraging young persons to continue to take advantage. I believe as well that apart from you getting the loan, the lovely staff that we have there at CEDU, they will be able to give you some free advice as well. And of course they'll be able to guide you in terms of putting your plans together, putting your budgets together, and so on. And so you get a package. So you not only get the loan, but you get advice as well. They guide you in terms of what you have to do. Of course, and they can help you with your payment plan in terms of paying back the loan and so on. And so it's pretty easy, and it's really geared towards persons who are not really very bankable, persons who would get a hard time getting a loan from the commercial banks, because of course we know that some of the commercial banks, they give you a really hard time sometimes when you go, depending on the loan that you're going for. Some of them give you a pretty hard time. And so those of you who may qualify and you want to open a business, you may want to actually expand your business. You may have a small business you may want to expand. There might be some additional work that you might want to do. There might be some additional equipment you might want to get. There might be an additional building you may want to construct. And so, as I said, you can go into CEDU, talk to them, tell them what your situation is, what your problem is, why you want the loan, and so on, and they'll be able to assist you. And so I am asking persons who are out there, who are listening, young persons and women of any age, you can get that facility at CEDU up to $100,000. And the gentleman who called, as I said, you can take your piece, your once you have the papers for your land, you can take that paper to the bank as collateral, and you'll be able to get your loan from I'm sure the bank will be very, very happy to lend you the money once you bring your land papers in. Though that's one thing the banks don't turn back. They don't turn back land paper at all, because land has value, and the value of land has been going up and up all the time nowadays. And of course, depending on where your land is, it can fetch you a very tidy sum. And so, gentlemen, thank you for calling, and as I said, you can try something with the banks. Try something. Take your land paper in and try something with the banks to get your loan. All right. It's now 21 minutes upon the 10 o'clock hour. The time is moving by swiftly, so we have another 21 minutes to go. And remember, the lines remain open: 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. And if you are desirous of calling in and putting anything on the table, please feel free to do so. We just have another 20 minutes to go, and so we just have 20 more minutes before you can call in and put what you want to put on the table for this On The Mark program this beautiful Wednesday evening here in Queen City, Nevis. Last night was very chilly. It's not that chilly tonight, but last night was very cold. And this climate change thing is really, really, really making things so different, because we don't normally have these cold nights in April. But last night was very, very chilly. I don't know about the other parts of Nevis, but last night was very, very chilly in the Gingerland area. And so as we wait for the phones to ring, one more time, I just want to say again, but I didn't say it yet for tonight, but I want to say that my Department of Agriculture, my Ministry of Agriculture, we are still on a high from the hosting of the Agri Expo. And, that high was rekindled today. I met a lady in Charlestown today, and she made my day, because she said to me, and this is someone who always gives good criticism, constructive criticism, and the lady said to me, Mr. Evelyn, I have to tell you that you get 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 for the hosting of the Agri Expo. And that was so heartwarming. It really made my day. And I just want those of you who from the department and the ministry who are listening to let you know that this lovely lady told me today that we got 10 out of 10 for the hosting of the Agri Expo, which was hosted in the month of March. I think it was an extraordinary event. The event continues to grow tremendously. Of course, I would have called into On The Mark, I think it was last week, and I would have said thanks to all of the lovely folks who would have participated, all the folks who would have taken part, all the persons who came in their numbers to that massive event, one of the biggest on the island of Nevis. And we want to say a special thank you once again to all who took part. Special congratulations to my staff at the Ministry and the Department of Agriculture. They are so accustomed now to hosting an event of this magnitude, and not only accustomed to hosting the event, but accustomed to hosting an event of class, an event of quality. And so, lady, you know who you are if you're listening. Thank you very much for making my day today and telling me 10 out of 10. And she said it more than once. She said it about 3 or 4 times. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. And so these are the kind of comments, because, when we have these kind of activities and we work so hard, you put out so much effort, these compliments can just go such a long way in boosting your morale, in terms of boosting your ego, in terms of encouraging you for the hosting of the next edition of the event. Next year is a milestone year. Next year is our 30th anniversary. And so we are looking forward to next year coming even bigger and better. I don't know if it's possible to come bigger and better next year, because we are already so big that I don't know if it's possible to come better than what we have been coming over the past years for the Agri Expo. I think we do have that Culturama jingle now, and so I'm going to ask you to give a listen. And as we ask people, especially in the diaspora, start to book your ticket. Start to book your ticket for Culturama 51. You came in your numbers last year. We're expecting you back in 2025. We're expecting you back for C51.
Division out of here. Culturama. Division pride, second to none. It's Culturama 51. Yeah. Division pride, second to none. It's Culturama 51. Division pride, second to none. Culturama 51. Join us for the Caribbean's greatest summer line, July 24th to August 5th. Lovely tournament. Let's go. Division pride, second to none. It's Culturama 51. Yeah. Division pride, second to none. It's Culturama 51. Yeah. Division out of here. Culturama. Division pride, second to none. It's Culturama 51. Yeah. Division pride, second to none. It's Culturama 51. Division pride, second to none. Culturama 51. Join us for the Caribbean's greatest summer line, July 24th to August 5th. Lovely tournament. Let's go.
Yeah, it's time to link up, It's time coming for us to link up for Culturama 51. And, I believe that this year is going to be just as good as last year. Well, we're not going to have as many activities as last year. Of course, last year was 50, the big 50. And it was a massive, massive celebration here on the island of Nevis. Persons who came home in their numbers, thousands came home. And so we're looking, we know that as many of you may not be coming home this year, but we're looking forward to a lot of persons from Nevis who are living overseas and visitors to come home again. So I'm going to remind you that the dates are July the 24th to August the 5th. And so you can start making your plans, start putting in your requests for your vacation. It's not too early to start booking your tickets either, right? And so we are looking forward to seeing your face in the place on the island of Nevis for Culturama 51. Some of you were here last year, said that you're going to come back this year. There are some persons who said, well, I couldn't make it for Culturama 50, but I'm certainly going to make it for 51. And of course, persons who came home who haven't been here for a very, very long time were very pleased with the development that they're seeing in their beautiful island home of Nevis. And so those of you who didn't make it last year, I'm sure you got some of the good reports from the persons who came home, and so we are looking forward to you coming home to see it for yourselves, to see what's on the ground for yourselves for Culturama 51. So we're looking forward to seeing you back in your numbers for C51. Everything was spruced up last year, so you're going to come home. If you didn't come last year, you're going to see some new stuff. You're going to see some new developments on the island. And so book your ticket, book your vacation. Those of you who have to book a hotel, book a hotel. I know most of you who are coming home, you'll have your family and friends who you can stay with. And so I'm going to remind you again, those of you who may have tuned in late in terms of the registration, I'm going to remind persons of the registration that are still open. The art, craft and food fair, and as I said, that is normally one of the largest, I believe is the largest event for Culturama. Everybody loves to go to that just to mix, to mingle, to eat all of our local foods, including some of what we had there for Easter, the conky and the coconut dumpling and all those kind of stuff. You get all those goodies at the Culturama Art, Craft and Food Fair. Registration ends on Monday, June the 16th. Vendors, those of you who normally take part, do not wait until the registration date expires. Do not wait until the last minute to go to the Culturama Secretariat to register your name. And so that registration date ends on June the 16th. We still have registration open for the Soca Monarch competition. Registration ends on Friday, May the 2nd. That is next week, Friday. For the Senior Calypso competition, registration ends on Wednesday, April the 30th. That is next week, Wednesday. Next week, Wednesday, this for the Senior Calypso competition. For the Junior Calypso competition, registration ends on Friday, June the 13th. And for the Senior Parade, registration ends on Friday, June the 13th. So for the Senior Parade and for the Junior Calypso competition, registration ends on Friday, June the 30th. So you still have a little time. The Calypsonians, the Senior Calypsonians, you have only until next week. The Junior Calypsonians, you have a little bit more time. You go down until June the 13th. And of course, we know that we're looking forward to a lot of persons registering as they normally do. Last year we had some good turnout in terms of the registration, and of course the application forms are available and they can be collected from the Culturama Secretariat. You're going to collect and return to the Culturama Secretariat. It's located there in the Philip St. Jean building adjacent to the Maud Cross Preparatory School in Ramsbury. Or you can visit www.culturamanevis.com, or you can call 469-1992 and you can get any information you need from the Culturama Secretariat. They'll be very, very happy to assist you with any information that you may request. And so we're asking persons, of course, as usual, Culturama, sometimes people like to criticize and say, the Culturama is not good, but Culturama is what you make it. And so we are looking forward to persons who are here to take part in the festival, whatever you can take part in. Just don't sit back on by the wayside and said, well, I didn't go to any of the activities, I didn't feel like it, I don't support the government. That is not what Culturama is about. Culturama is not a party thing. Culturama is for all of us to enjoy, for all of us to indulge in, all of us to go out and greet and meet each other, have fun. And so we're asking persons, and all other persons like to just sit back and say, well, I went to the show's not been away, I ain't going back to the shows. We're trying our utmost to ensure that we try to have events of quality, and so we're asking persons to come out in their numbers and support. Those of you who are coming from overseas, we're expecting when you come that you'll attend all of the activities. If you're coming from overseas and you have to register for anything, get someone from here to register for you, because I know sometimes there are persons who are coming from overseas who are desirous of selling at the food fair, and so they may need to get one of their relatives or friends here to register for them. If you have to do that, I'm asking you to do that as quickly as possible so that you can get your registration in early. And of course we are hoping and praying and believing, and we know that this year is going to be another hugely successful festival for Culturama 51. Of course, a couple weeks ago we would have launched the jingle right here on the On The Mark program, and we would have also indicated to you what the slogan is, and so we want people to be a part of the festival. And so we want to congratulate once again Miss Hunt. Division Pride, second to none, Culturama 51. And as I was talking about people taking part, I mean, you must have pride. And we were very thoughtful when we were selecting the slogan this year, because, most of the time it's all about fun and so on. And we thought, when we looked at this one and we saw Division Pride, because we find a lot of persons do not have enough pride in their country. And we want people to have more pride in their country. And because we want you to have more pride in your country, why we want you to take part. We want people to have more pride in the country. That's why we want you to assist when we have cleanups like the one we're having on Saturday at the Butler's Bay. And not only you don't have to go on the beach to clean up your village, clean up around you. Gone are the days when people used to clean up, especially during Christmas time. Everybody depends on the government now to do everything. And we have to help ourselves. We must have some pride in our island, in our country. And this slogan, very fitting, Division Pride, second to none, Culturama 51. We are winding down. We have just another 7 minutes to go on the program. It has been a wonderful show so far this evening, and we're almost at the end. So if anyone wants to call in quickly and get a quick message in, you can still feel free to do so. We can accommodate another one or two quick calls. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. We can accommodate one or two quick calls. But in the meantime, as we wind down on the show for this evening, we want to give persons a gentle reminder that this coming weekend we have on Saturday morning, and we're asking people to go out and support. Saturday morning there is the cleanup at the Butler's Bay, where they're focusing on collecting plastic bottles and any other plastic utensils, plastics in general. Of course, we know that single-use plastic bags, the t-shirt plastic bags have been banned, and so right now we are trying our best in St. Kitts and Nevis to clean up the environment with regards to plastics. And so that is coming up Saturday morning from 6:30. So if you're not busy on Saturday morning from 6:30, please go on over to Butler's Bay and assist the folks who are there. Those of you who are living in the Butler's area, those of you who are living in the St. James area, please go on down to Butler's Bay and assist them with that cleanup. I did indicate that on Saturday evening, those of you who are listening from St. Kitts, and of course those of you who are from Nevis as well, you can go on over. Of course, we know that the water taxis are running all the time. They run any hour, any day, any time of the night, and so they're having that event at the Marriott Ballroom on Saturday, and it is called an Evening of Musical Excellence, hosted by the Governor General Dame Marcella Liburd. And I am not sure how much the tickets are, but whatever the cost of the tickets, trust me, it will be worth it. I understand last year it was really, really good, and I understand this year it will be even better. And as I said, the Honeybee String Band out of Nevis will be featured during that Evening of Musical Excellence. And we are very happy that the organizers would have seen it fit to invite us down to be a part of. We'll be making 2 appearances on Saturday night at the Marriott. We'll be accompanying a choir, and then we'll be doing a piece by ourselves. So we are very, very happy that the Honeybee String Band will be highlighted there on Saturday evening. And of course on Sunday we heard from Mr. McIntosh earlier on. We had that big event. Athletics is still in the air. We are down to the end of the athletic season, but our athletes continue to shine. And so Mr. McIntosh and A1 Farms, they have organized this parish relay festival for this coming Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. at the Nevis Athletic Stadium, the Mondo track. And so we're asking persons to go out in their numbers and support that event. And of course, before I leave, I want to remind persons, those of you who may have tuned in late, that this coming Mother's Day would not be the same. The Concerned Citizens Movement is planning a big event for Mother's Day. It's a Mother's Day Fun Day, and it's happening on Sunday the 11th of May 2025, and it's from 12 noon until 7 p.m. It's happening at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park, and of course the focus is on mothers, but we're asking mothers to bring along their spouses, bring along their children. It's a family event, and for the mothers there will be mini massages and facials. We have sip and paint. We have mom and me photo booth. We have mini massages. We have mom makeover contest. We have mommy bingo and scavenger hunt. We have gifts. We have entertainment. We have lots to eat and drink. For the children, we have fun games. We have water slide. We have slip and slide. We have obstacle course. We have bounce castle. We have bowling. We have dart games. We have animal rides. And so please mark the date for Mother's Day 2025. It's not going to be the same, and it's going to be hosted by the good folks of the Concerned Citizens Movement. Don't plan anything else for Mother's Day except church. So after church, you head to the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. We are winding down, and we're going to roll out with the jingle. And just before we have the jingle rolling out, I'm just going to once again say thank you for joining me tonight on the Mark. And we're reminding you that this program is rebroadcast tomorrow at 1 p.m. right here on the Eastern Caribbean's Powerhouse. So I want to thank you for joining us. I want to thank all those who called in. We had some good discussions tonight with those who called in. I want to thank those of you for listening. Remember to listen again tomorrow. And so until next week, Wednesday, same time, 8 o'clock here on the Eastern Caribbean's Powerhouse. Thank you for joining us. Have a good night. God bless.
Division out of here. Culturama. Division pride, second to none. Is Culturama 51? Yeah. Division pride, second to none. Is Culturama 51? Division pride, second to none. Culturama 51. Join us for the Caribbean's greatest summer line, July 24th to August 5th. Lovely Caribbean, let's go! Division pride, second to none. Is Culturama 51? Yeah. Division pride, second to none. Is Culturama 51?
views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.